question. Tell me about Ansel Adams.
I beg your pardon?
Tell me about Ansel Adams.
Oh, Ansel Adams was a photographer. We knew he was a photographer that would come to Manzanar quite frequently. And I noticed him because here in camp he always wore black, a black hat, black jacket, black slacks. And was Caucasian. He wasn't Japanese, but always with a camera. And so he would wander around the camp all the time. He just had free reign and very quiet and unobtrusive. And then one morning, a Sunday morning, as we were leaving the Catholic Church, my friend and I, he stopped us and wanted us just to pose by the door, and that's how my picture ended up in the book, Born Free and Equal. I didn't know anything about it until I believe it was in the school library, and I thought, oh, that's me. I've been photographed by Ansel Adams, and I didn't know that he was a well-known photographer until maybe in the early 1950s.
Madlon, tell me, who's this?
Oh, this is my grandson. His name is Tyler. Tell him your name.
Tyler.
Tyler what? What's your last name?
Yamamoto.
Yes. And how old are you?
5.
Uh-huh.
So you're here with your family?
Yes, my daughter-in-law, and then my son Todd. It's my son Todd.
Can you tell me a little bit about the evacuation, what your memories are, what your feelings were? Were you interned in Del Mar?
No. We left our house. We left our house and came directly here to Manzanar. I knew quite a bit about the internment camps because my uncle was picked up by the FBI within a day or two after Pearl Harbor was bombed. And so my father had the stressful duty of having to take care of not only his own family, but also his sister-in-law and his nephew, because we did not know where he had been taken by the FBI. And so all the procedures in following through to be assigned to the internment camp was something that my father had to do, not only for our family, but for his brother's family. And he would discuss that every evening with my mother, and I would be privy to that information. And it was very difficult because he didn't have a job. All the Japanese-owned businesses were shut down, and he had to start his own business. And he put it in my mother's name because an alien, my father was an alien, could not start a business. So he put the business in my mother's name. And the ironic thing is, I remember one night he said his biggest customer for buying his asparagus were the Army, people that were going to incarcerate us. And then the other thing about coming to camp is how to, quote, dispose of the house and the business and everything. That was very, very difficult, traumatic time, especially for my mother, because her brothers and sisters all went to Hart Mountain, and we were the only ones that came to Manzanar.
When you say it was a tough time for your mother, can you elaborate some of the things that you remember?
Well, she had to make the decision of what we were going to take to camp and how we were going to store what few belongings that we had, because my father did not have the financial wherewithal to rent a place to store all of the things that he had to sell the car. I think he sold it for only like $50. It was a brand new car, and all the furniture, and it was a time. And then I remember at night was supposedly we were supposed to black out the windows, and when we were to take our baths, brush our teeth or whatever, we had to close all the windows and doors, and that was a very trying time, but also fun for us because in the pitch dark we'd have to take our baths, brush our teeth, but we made a game out of that. But again, I knew that we were going to be separated from my aunts and uncles and my cousins, because my mother was from a family of 8, and she was the only one that came to Manzanar, and all my other aunts and uncles, they went to Hart Mountain.
So it was very lonely for her.
For my mother, oh yes, it was a very lonely time for her, but there was enough menial tasks to take care of, like the washing and the ironing and mopping of the floors. It kept her quite busy.
Madlon, how old were you when you finished and when you were released from Manzanar?
Oh, I mean, when I left Manzanar, I was 12, not quite 13, and I went back to Los Angeles and found a job as we called, quote, schoolgirl. You put an ad in the paper and said that you would be a babysitter, a clean house, or whatever on the weekends, and for your room and board. And that's what I did from August, September, October, November. In November, they closed Manzanar, and so I was able to join my mother when my father found a house to rent. Because my father was out ahead of my mother and established a gardening route, and that's how we earned his money.
So you were by yourself. You went by yourself, and you got a job.